Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We were on item number 4, in the executive session, and we have completed that. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully we're not that long, but there are some matters that cannot be discussed in public, and we have to go into executive session. The executive session, and number 5 is the regular meeting minutes. September 14th, 2020 will be approved at the next regular meeting. So I do need a motion to the extent where we will discuss at the next meeting or accept the minutes at the next meeting. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we don't accept the meetings as presented.
Motion has been made not to accept the September 14th meeting 2022 as sent to us prior. Is there a
I'll second that motion.
motion has been seconded? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Hearing none. Abstentions? Hearing none. Motion is accepted unanimously. Correspondence. Chief, you had a correspondence concerning a problem for a traffic light, and tonight was brought up in our meeting concerning this particular situation over at the Nuzzo Road, and you've been over there to take a look at that situation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did receive correspondence from a resident who lives on D'Annunzio Road requesting that the commission, as a local traffic authority, consider a traffic signal at the intersection of Route 262 and D'Annunzio Road stating the speed on Route 262 and the accident history at D'Annunzio Road. This letter came a day after we did have a crash at that site, although it wasn't directly related to the intersection. It was two kids racing, I believe, and one of them lost control and crashed their vehicle there. I did go out to the intersection. Coming out of D'Annunzio from the Sylvan Lake side, there is significant sight distance, so sight distance is not an issue. And the volume on D'Annunzio Road is relatively low in comparison to the volume of traffic on Route 262. Those are one of the main warrants that you would look at to put a traffic signal in place. Coming from the dead-end side of D'Annunzio, sight distance to the right looking up the hill on Route 262 is significant, no issues there. Looking left, it is slightly obstructed by some brush that could easily be cut back. I, looking at the manual and uniform traffic control devices, don't see any warrants that would, that a traffic signal would be warranted at that particular intersection. Again, that's based on sightline distance and the volume of traffic coming off the side roads. I would just recommend authorizing me to write a letter to the DOT requesting them to trim back some of the bushes and hedges there along the rock wall along Route 262.
So your recommendation is to not seek out a traffic light from the state because of the state highway, and you feel that it does not necessitate a light?
Yeah, I don't believe a traffic signal is warranted at the location. Ultimately, the Department of Transportation owns Route 262 and would be the agency that would make that determination as a local traffic authority. You could always, put in a request to the Department of Transportation to look into the matter, and they can either choose to look into the matter or not, but it's under their jurisdiction.
Any comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, through you, I agree with the chief's assessment. I use that intersection almost daily, and I think that a traffic light would only exacerbate that situation, especially traffic coming down the hill. The other thing, too, is the work that was done on Echo Lake Road to Ice House Road. The bridge work and road work that was done there has, I think, diverted some of that traffic to Ice House Road, which I think is actually easier to access 262 from Ice House Road. So I agree with the chief's assessment that trimming back some of that brush would give a better sight line, and we could monitor it from there.
Would that be done by Public Works? Or-
No, that would be done by the Department of Transportation.
Okay. Any other comments?
No.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we can move on to the next item. New business. Police chief has a special report on incidents of crime. Going to be a very interesting report, Chief.
Yes, first, before we get into that report, which Deputy Chief Dominguez is going to present for us this evening, I'd like to formally introduce our new Deputy Chief to the Police Commission. Renee Dominguez, welcome.
Thank you.
Has been a police officer since November of 2000. She began her career with the Newtown, Connecticut Police Department before transferring to the New Haven Police Department in October 2002, where she rose to the level of interim chief of police before retiring in May of 2022 with 20 years of service. As interim chief of the New Haven Police Department, Renee Dominguez commanded over 325 sworn officers and supervisors. During her 22 years in law enforcement, she has worked in many capacities. She's held the ranks and assignments of patrol officer, canine handler, peer support coordinator, hostage crisis negotiator, patrol sergeant, patrol lieutenant, district manager of 3 different districts in the city of New Haven, lieutenant in the Detective Bureau, and assistant chief of patrol operations. She earned her master's degree in criminal justice at the University of New Haven and has earned bachelor's degrees in criminal justice from the University of New Haven and a bachelor's degree in Spanish from Southern Connecticut State University. She is married with 2 beautiful girls. It's our running joke in the department, but since she started, it seems like she's brought a crime wave with her from New Haven, but we're working that out. But at this time, I'd like to turn this over to the Deputy Chief to present an update to the Commission on our crime stats for 2021 as compared to 2020. And you'll see we're using a similar platform to what we used during our juvenile crime forum that we had this time last year. Deputy Chief.
Thank you. After 20 years, it takes a little bit to fluff off the dust of it, and so we'll be good to go. But we're going to do 2022 to 2021 instead of 2021 to 2020. So just the objectives of just for today quickly is to compare the 2 data and look at the trends that we're seeing. It does feel like that we are seeing an increase in crime, but as we go through, we're going to be happy to report that it's the perception, I think, of right now, not overall throughout the year of 2022. What we did look at is for this, different than the last presentation that you got, was the index crimes. These are things that are reported. We report them up to the FBI, and they're reported across the board throughout the country. Murder, robbery, burglary, forcible rape, aggravated assault, motor vehicle theft, larceny, theft, and arson. I pared that down to just the 5 major categories that we've been seeing an uptick in crime lately here in Watertown. So to start, this is just 2 different comparisons, 2021 versus 2022, and our data for 2022 throughout is going to be October 5th. That's the date that we're going to be using. So 0 homicides for both, 2 robberies overall for the entire year in 2021, 5 so far this year, 20 burglaries last year, 13 so far this year, 3 aggravated assaults last year, 0 this year, 40 motor vehicle thefts versus 26, 1 arson investigation last year versus 0, and theft from auto is 106 from last year versus 66. This is not the parts, this is just the, doors are unlocked and somebody is going through, kind of rummaging through and taking change or whatever is valuable in the car. That's just a brief overview, and then each slide will kind of break it down a little bit further. In 2021, we recorded a total of 27 burglaries. In 2021, if you were, I wanted to compare where we were last year at this time, so we used September 30th as a baseline versus
Excuse
October
me,
5th.
could you dim the lights a little? It's a little hard, I think, to see.
So I wanted to have a then versus now about this roughly the same time period. So we had in 2021, 19 about this time, and currently we have 18. So this is a decrease from exact time period to time period of 5.2% for burglaries. For robberies, this is the one category that we do see an uptick. Last year, there was 2 total robberies overall for 2021 and also as of September 30th. This year, so far, we have 5 robberies, 2 being last week, or 2 weeks ago. So this is a 150% increase from 2021 to 2022. The spike that we are seeing is related to the 2 liquor stores in one, within 30 minutes of each other, and the chief will go into a larger explanation in your report, right, about the robberies? Or I can go now? I can go now. So what we are seeing with these robberies is there's a task force because there have been so many robberies, and there's been maybe, if I were to count, 20 robberies ranging from the beginning of September to last Friday. And they do believe that this is the same individual. This individual is hitting all the way up and down the state. It's not just Watertown, it's in Stonington, it's in Bristol, it's in New Haven. And so the FBI in all of the towns today had a meeting to kind of put all the information together and what do we actually have that we can put as a trend? Do we have DNA that can go up to be tested? Is there a vehicle? Is there a suspect? So that task force did meet today, that a lot of good information. We do think that there is a suspect, and eventually, once all of the evidence, which is vast, is put together, there will hopefully be an arrest, and it will be a clearance of a lot of these towns that have been hit by this individual. So while we're working to not have this individual kind of hit again and victimize the community again, we at least know that we're moving in an area where we do have a lot of good information to be able to make an arrest in the future. For larceny from motor vehicle, this is not motor vehicle parts. This is not including your catalytic converters and lug nuts and license plates. Last year, there was 106 total. At this time, there were 79. Currently, we have 66. So that's a decrease of 16.4. This is definitely something that we do see. I read the reports every morning when I come in, and I do see them reported. We ask the community, even if your car is just rummaged through and nothing is taken, to report that. That's a stat. We need to be able to map that. We need to know that this certain section of Watertown or Oakville is being hit, and what is different over there? What's going on? Are we seeing something that we could maybe address? So we need to be able to map that out, date, time, some other factors that, we're seeing a vehicle. We've got a lot of great ring camera. We appreciate the community, bringing that information to us as the officers go out. So please report that, even if it seems, well, nothing was taken. It's still important for our statistics. So this is the larceny of motor vehicle parts only. And this includes catalytic converters, license plates, hubcaps, lug nuts, any parts of the vehicle that are not the contents of the vehicle. And we, throughout Connecticut, have seen an uptick in this as well. So last year at this time, or last year overall, there was 42. And at this time last year, there was 34. And currently, we're seeing 30 larceny of motor vehicle parts. So this is a decrease of 19% from last year to this year at this time. And then motor vehicle theft. There was 41 motor vehicles stolen last year overall, 35 at this time, and currently we're at 26. So this is a decrease of, just over 25.5% from last year to this year at the same time. And then aggravated assaults. These are not your regular assaults. These are, using a weapon. These are more of your serious assaults. Last year there was 6. At this time there was 5, and currently we have 0. So there has been a 100% decrease in aggravated assaults at this time. And this is our little thank you with all our information. I'll be happy to get this out to the commission. If you want the PowerPoint, we can email it, or all of the data is available. So that's our little kind of presentation on, while it does feel, the good news that we did find by doing this was beneficial to the department as well, because while it does feel that crime is, in the past month, has been on the rise overall, everything but the robberies are down. And the robberies, we do have a very good handle on what is going on. So it's a little bit more comforting knowing that it's not just, we are unable to figure out what it is. We're working together, we're working all over the state, working together as one group under the FBI is kind of like facilitating it and being able to use some federal resources, which are more than some of the smaller towns have the ability to do and really put some work into. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the chief.
We'd be
Thank
happy
you.
to answer any questions the commission may have.
Yeah, I just have one question. Were any of these car thefts, they left the motor running and went into a store, or they left the motor running where they went into their house, or et cetera?
I would say a majority of them are leaving the car running, leaving the keys in the ignition, running into Starbucks, coming back
Right,
out.
yeah, okay.
There's no more car. So lock your doors so your stuff doesn't
Oh,
get
I
stolen,
do.
and take your keys out.
I do.
Don't leave it running even for a moment. Those moments are the opportunity that the individuals who are using, because they're crimes of opportunity.
I lock my door in the driveway.
Absolutely. Don't leave your keys in the car, in the driveway unlocked.
Okay.
Statewide, I believe the statistics around 82% of all vehicles stolen are left unlocked with the keys in the vehicle. In Watertown, we're at about 90 to 91% of the vehicles stolen in this town are left unlocked with the keys in the vehicle. I'm not sure which percentage of them have the vehicle still running, sitting in a convenience store parking lot. I think we just had one in a neighboring community today. The owner went into the Starbucks, I think it was in Cheshire, and left her car running outside while she went in to get her coffee, came back out, and the car was no longer there. It's amazing how that happens, but it does. So again, like the deputy said, if we can just continue our educational campaign to our citizens to, when you're not with your car, lock it and take your keys and keep all valuables out of sight.
Any other questions from members of the commission? Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Through you. Chief, our neighborhood was hit last week. We had the house across the street, car was stolen, keys in it, unlocked. The house next door, the unlocked car was broken into, entered, and some items were taken, so it shook up our little cul-de-sac. And I do see on the Ring, I have the Ring network, I have Ring cameras on my house. I do see on a regular basis that neighborhoods in Watertown and Oakville are getting hit. I'm not asking for any specifics on tactics or anything, but are you guys doing anything proactive patrol? It seems like that 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Time period is the sweet spot for these guys to come in and start going through cars and whatnot.
Yeah, the overnight hours tend to be when the car thieves do strike, especially for car parts as well, things like catalytic converters. I am pleased that we have one of our newest promoted sergeants on the midnight shift now, and she takes crime that happens in this town extremely seriously when it happens on her shift. She owns it and she's on it, and our midnight shift is working diligently. But again, we're talking about 3 officers. It's a big town.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, that's comforting to know. Do you guys monitor the Ring network? Does somebody in the police department looking
So
at that
it's not a
information?
monitoring of the network. We put out a request on the Rings neighborhood app for neighbors in particular areas to share their video with us if we have a particular crime in an area. So we're on the Rings neighborhood app, and we put a request in. It's almost like a Facebook type of a platform for neighbors to share any video they may have had of an incident that occurred, and neighbors are very responsive on that. Our detective bureau facilitates that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Chief, Deputy Chief, also great presentation. Okay, the next matter is old business, and we should have a discussion. I hear the superintendent is here tonight. Doctor, would you like to come to the microphone? Good to see you tonight.
Thank you. Good to see you as well. Good evening, members of the commission. Thank you for having me back this evening, and to the chief and to the deputy, and also to the town manager who is not here this evening. Just thank you for all the work that we've been doing in this past month. So the last time we were together, it was middle of September, and I'm here to give an update on our progress thus far on behalf of the Board of Education and myself. So when we last spoke, one of the suggestions that Commissioner Russ had provided was that there was some additional communications to our families, which has happened at this time. And so I had shared that we had a car ridership of over 300 cars coming in and out of the John Trumbull main lot. Since then, we have reduced our ridership to just above 200 cars, so we have reduced by almost 75 plus cars, which is excellent. We're still not quite at the levels of where we were prior to COVID. Again, before COVID, we were under 100 cars coming in and out of John Trumbull, but we are on the way. So again, I just want to say thank you for the time, understanding that we have a large community of over 650 students who do attend that school, and many parents who do come to pick up. In addition to that as well, we have been strictly monitoring and also listening to the community when there has been times where perhaps the gate was open. We have been strictly monitoring of when it was open and when it is closed, specifically for the hours of arrival and dismissal at the start and end of the day. I know there was one where the car show happened on a Saturday and the gate was opened. I do not give that permission, just so that that's very clear. In addition to that, we have moved forward and posted right on our main website. If you go to the school's main website, you can learn all about traffic studies as well as any communications that have come officially into the Board of Education. We've posted there as well. Also, in the past two Board of Education meetings, our Board of Education members have been taking the topic very seriously and have discussed it as well at each of those meetings. Since then, in addition, we are starting a pilot as of this week, and John Trumbull closed the gates during dismissal today. We did have quite a backup on Buckingham. However, we were expecting it, and so the WPD was there to help monitor traffic and to move people in and out. It's still very much a concern that it's a safety issue for the number of buses and cars coming in and out of that main area. So we still do strongly request the traffic study on behalf of the LTA, who is the authority who is allowed to do that, based on the recommendation of the DOT. It is always my job as a superintendent to make sure that it's safe for everybody, including pedestrian, walkers, drivers, and buses coming in and out of that entrance. So it is something that we are monitoring very closely. However, the gate was closed today, and we were able to do dismissal. A little backed up, but it happened. In addition to that as well, I just thought if the chief would like to add anything, he certainly can. And also, I just wanted to offer some clarity to some of the questions that came up during public comment that perhaps I can provide an answer to. There have been letters, and there is clear communication on the main website. I know there was some question about whether or not they went out. They do go out. They're a mailing listserv to all of our families in the district that's also posted on the website. So communication has started. Well, not just started, but has been ongoing, actually. In addition, on that main website, the progress is also monitored. So since our last meeting, and even the meeting prior to that, Board of Education meetings, we've had progress updates. And here we go. One more. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, and then the other part, there was just a question around, I think, when we would be able to officially close the gates. So again, at John Trumbull, we have officially closed them as of today to try out our pilot, and it was somewhat manageable, so we'll continue to move forward with that. I do have some concerns that are coming up from our parent community, and I'm sure I'll continue to hear that, but I'll certainly field that and let you know how that goes. And then I just want to say thank you to the WPD. I know that resources are thin, but we really can't do it without their help at the moment. So thank you for just positioning an officer there on Buckingham to help with the backlog and just safely getting our buses out. And that is my update on progress so far.
Any questions from members of the commission?
No.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Villanueva. Thank you for coming tonight and addressing the board. You said the gate was closed at John Trumbull just for dismissal, correct?
For dismissal,
So it was
correct.
open prior
For arrival, yes.
for arrival?
So it opens for arrival and then closes at the end of arrival. It's about a 20-minute window. And then we closed it completely for dismissal, rerouted all the buses to the front of the school. So we had everybody moving out of that one ingress and egress.
All right. And then what's the timeline for the gate to be completely shut at John Trumbull? I realize you're taking
We are.
you're doing one school at a time, a measured approach. Do you have a timeline for the gate to be closed for the entire day, for John Trumbull at least?
So we can. I'm waiting to hear back from First Student on certain ways in which we can make our buses turn at a point. I just don't know if the buses can actually make the turn. So until they can do that, I guess, measurement, we have to have somebody from First Student come out and do that. We will continue to close the gate at dismissal. If they can make the turn, maybe there's a possibility that we can officially have it closed. However, even when I do close it, I have to stress very strongly to the commission, as our local traffic authority, it is, in my opinion, not safe for our students and families and buses to all come out of that one bottleneck. So I would strongly request that the traffic study move forward so that we can determine where a secondary exit can be made. Even if there's an emergency and emergency vehicles need to come in, they would have to actually blast through the gate in order to get into the school property. So that's also something of question as well. But the goal here, Mr. Giannetti, is to have the gates closed. We just need time. And so you can see that from our last meeting to this meeting, we had progress. We're almost down by 75 cars. I'm sure we can get it down even more as the families know how important this topic is to the community.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. So I guess the bottom line is the gate will be locked at all times.
That is what we are trying to do. Correct.
And the traffic study, you have a company in line for that?
So I worked with the town manager, Mr. Ramo. He suggested that the company that we use in town, I guess for other traffic studies, it's an organization called SLR. The only thing is that based on, I guess, language, the Board of Education is not the one who is able to execute that traffic study. It's supposed to be done by the LTA. So I don't want to step on any toes and just leave that for the town to determine how to move forward with that.
And when do you have your board meeting coming up?
I believe our next one is, we're in October, so October 28th.
October? Did you say October 23?
Yep, our next board meeting is October 28th, yes.
Chief, do you have anything to offer? I know the police department was over there directing traffic. And anything to report? I know it's on a very short notice.
Yes, I'd just like to inform the commission that Dr. Villanueva, the town manager, the deputy, myself, are all working very diligently to address the concerns of the community and to make sure that the arrival and dismissal at the schools goes as safely as possible for all of our children, all of our parents, all of our staff members. We're talking about a large amount of people that we have to move in a small amount of area in a small amount of time. And there's a lot of logistics that go into the traffic patterns on property to make that move as efficiently and safely as possible. And we're making adjustments to those who've been working with Principal Mecco over at John Trumbull School and with the armed security officer there who's often out dealing with the traffic and the crossing guards. To make sure the traffic patterns that we have there are the right traffic patterns. I think we are making some minor tweaks to them to try to facilitate movement even quicker with that gate being shut. In the short term, we're going to have an officer out at the end of the driveway on Buckingham. Unlike the high school, there's no traffic direction out at Buckingham. And there's a lot. I mean, when we talk about 200 to 300 vehicles in a 15 to 20 minute period, that's a lot of vehicles to move in a short term on one piece of property with no traffic direction at all. So we are going to use an officer out there just to move vehicles as safely as possible and as quickly as possible in and out of that school while these new traffic patterns get figured out and our drivers kind of learn them. So I'd like to thank Dr. Villanueva. We've been putting a lot of work into this, and we'll continue to move forward with it. Our plan is once we get John Trumbull situated, we'll focus on the high school, but we're doing one school at a time.
I'd like to thank Dr. Villanueva for coming again and being very concerned not only for the children, but for the residents in the area. It is not just an issue for the schools, but it is also an issue for the homeowners that feel impacted as far as safety is concerned also, and I am sure you are also in that situation. I also like the residents that are here tonight to be assured that there is a proactive effort, both on the part of the superintendent and also on the part of the department, that you can be assured that it is not a dead issue. I know you went to the council and you're waiting upon them, and you sent a letter to the Board of Ed and you're waiting upon them. Tonight, you can be assured that there has been action being taken and that we will closely monitor how that action moves forward. It is not going to be something instantaneously. It will take time. And I know we live in a time where everything is instant, but it cannot be with this situation. It has been a growing situation. The school has grown, the population has grown. And we will try to see that that gate is locked and that there is protection for you and your neighborhood. And I believe the chief and the deputy chief will be working hard on that. So tonight, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and thank you, Superintendent, and we will have to move forward. The next matter on the agenda, we do not have public participation. Please, sir.
I understood through the whole meeting, I got an 80% loss of hearing. So what just happened now, I have no idea what happened. And when I want to know, what you explain to me if anything's going to happen on Tower Road. That's all.
Okay.
Because I can't hear anything unless I talk.
We can talk after the meeting. Is that okay? All right. The next matter on the agenda is the devices. Chief, anything report on the plate reading device?
All of our license plate readers, the 10 we have deployed around town, are fully functional and assisting all of our officers in investigations. As the deputy and I can both attest, we get alerts that come right over our cell phones whenever a stolen vehicle or an Amber Alert or a missing person or a person that has a warrant for their arrest pass one of those cameras, and obviously the license plate has to be associated with that person, but it automatically sends us a text message immediately, sends all of our officers a text message immediately, and we can move to intercept. So that's been very successful. And the data retention within the software that these cameras report to are instrumental in solving crime after crime occurs, or we can go back and research where the vehicles, associated vehicle came from, where did it enter town, where did it leave town. If we simply have a circumstance where we know, let's say a white Chevy Tahoe was the description of the vehicle, we can go into that software and simply put white SUV between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Into the search query, and it will show us every single white SUV that passed one of our cameras during the time frame and what plate was associated with it, and often likely to give us a lead in solving that crime. Furthermore, if we have a particular license plate that we want to enter into the LPR system that's associated with one of our investigations, and let's just take an example of a person gets reported missing. Let's say someone's family member never returned home, and we can put their vehicle's license plate into the system, and if that license plate passes one of our cameras, we'll immediately be alerted right to our cell phones and to the mobile data terminals in the vehicles that person has crossed one of our cameras. So it's powerful equipment. It's a force multiplier for our department, and we're happy that the town supported this endeavor.
And as far as the reading update on locating the speed signs, I think they were last over on Porter Avenue. Did those get moved?
We have not yet moved the signs. We still have 2 of our speed radar signs on Porter Ave, one facing each direction. We have one by Swift Middle School on Davis Street and one by Judson on Hamilton Avenue. They will be moved by our next meeting into other locations that are on our list.
I mentioned to you, I am, under my report there, I will get in touch with the Senator Berthel and also Representative Paletta on looking into the matter of getting speed boxes that report speed but also take the license plate, and a fine is sent to that person. I know they can do research because they have it in several states where a fine for a violation of speed. And I think we have certain roads, for instance, the highway by the school, where it is a high-speed road, and that if you get a ticket, I know a lot of times people will say, well, I wasn't driving the car. My son was driving the car. But the car is the one that will be, the owner of the car will get to pay the fine. But I'm going to have them do, I know in Connecticut, we may have to change a few laws. So our state representative and our state senator, I'm going to request that they do some work on it and maybe get a report back to the commission, just to give you an update on that. Okay? You have also, Chief, to report on the, everybody got the numbers from the chief? Are there any issues there?
Mr. Chairman, I believe your report is next on the agenda, number 9.
Yes. You're number 10. I have none, but your report, number 10, for September and August, we have this.
I do, thank you. So the commissioners do have my statistical report as well as my monthly chief's report to read into the record here. I want to inform the commission that on October 3rd, we swore in a lateral certified officer who came to us from the West Haven Police Department. His name is Costa Gakidis. He brings our department staffing up to 40 sworn, which is what we are budgeted and allocated for through town council. So we are fully staffed as of this moment. First time we have been in about 2.5 years, so I'm very happy to report that. The police department has opened up an application process for a new entry position. We have a spot in the December 30th Police Academy at the Connecticut Police Academy in Meriden. We intend to hire a new entry-level candidate to put in that class to replace one of our patrol sergeants who will be retiring in June of 2023. So I was working with the town manager on that to hire ahead of this known retirement to reduce the amount of overtime that's going to get spent between the retirement and getting a new person on board. The Watertown Police Department will be assigning a detective to participate with a new regional violent crimes task force that's going to be run out of Waterbury and managed by the state police. Numerous area departments are participating on this task force. The town of Watertown will be receiving a $55,000 annual stipend to cover our participation costs on this task force. This task force will directly interact with our detective bureau to investigate violent crimes that do take place in the town of Watertown. So it'll be a significant resource for us as well as information sharing. And that's all I have to report. I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief? Any questions?
I do have one other announcement for the commission regarding the local traffic authority. The Connecticut Transfer Center is offering a class. One of the classes on November 1st, and the other class is on November 2nd. November 1st one's in Colchester, November 2nd's in Simsbury. The class is regarding the powers and responsibilities of a municipal traffic authority. This is one of the local traffic authority classes that the state offers, and I would just offer this out to the commission. If anyone is interested in attending that class, we can get you registered for it. You can let me know after the meeting.
What are the dates on that, Chief?
November 1st or November 2nd.
Okay. Any other matters on the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay,
And I second it. McCarthy?
okay. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 Motion is carried. All those abstaining? Hearing none. Motion is passed unanimously. You can come forth. We're out of.